If you've been feeling lost for quite some time, uh, it may mean that you need to change things up a bit. As simple as that. Tweak a few things. Change your pace a little bit. And in this video, we're going to talk about things you can actually do. Okay? The video I made about a year ago about feeling lost, people mention that it's been a year, 2 years, 3 years, 20 years. They've been feeling lost their whole lives. And I thought in this video we'd do a follow-up. Maybe you watched that one a year ago and you're still in a place where you feel unsettled. You haven't arrived somewhere yet. So I'm going to give you some tangible to-dos, and I'm going to tell you an awesome story, an inspiring story, one that's inspired me for a really long time, but especially of late. And if you're not Canadian, you may not know this story. So first things first, you're feeling lost. Now, if we were in a coaching session together, one-on-one, I would say, okay, I would ask you, what do you mean by lost? Lost can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. And for you, feeling lost could be completely different from what I feel. You might feel like unsettled. It might be an anxious feeling. It might be a feeling of unworthiness, of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. It could be that you're just feeling lost based on where you are in your career, where you are in your relationship. You might feel lost because you really don't know exactly where you're going to end up. And I watched this movie, I forget what it's called, some cheesy romantic one on Netflix. And there was a character in there that said, you know, when you're thinking about planning your life and your future, the end is none of your business, which I thought was such a perfect use of words. I love when it comes together like that. The end is none of your business. Okay? You can set a marker, set a pin, strive for it. But exactly how you'll feel at the end, or if you'll get there, leave it. Leave it. So if you've been feeling lost for quite some time, first things first, describe what it is exactly. Is it an anxious feeling? Is it unworthiness? Is it that, I'm just super low now? I'm lonely, which is a massive part today, and you are not the only one. Billions of people are dealing with this loneliness thing, okay? So be honest with yourself. If you couldn't use the word lost, what word would you use to describe how you're doing these days, okay? And you can actually use the comment section as a journal. Put it out there for people to read. Put it out, and you can look back at your comment 6 months from now, a month from now, 10 years from now, and see where you're at. So first things, describe it. The next thing, in the first video about being lost, people found comfort in knowing that they are adventurers. You are a seeker. You don't get lost unless you're on an adventure, unless you've left home and you're embarking on something new, which is pretty awesome. And the lostness is something in my personal life that I have to get used to. And I don't think you ever do, but when it comes, maybe I'm not as surprised. There's a lot of uncertainty because I like trying a bunch of different things, and I'm a curious guy. So there's a lot of lostness, but healthy instability. There's a lot of, different paths I've been going down. And by you being an adventurer and a seeker, this sense may come, not just once in your life, but many times. It may last a day, it might last a couple days, but these are questions that you need to ask. When you are lost, you are trying to go somewhere. It means that you left, okay, but you're obviously trying to get somewhere if you're lost. You put a pin somewhere, right? And you're trying to get there. Where are you trying to get to? Seriously, ask yourself that. Is it a position in your career? Is it you don't even know what you want to do with your life? But are you trying to get to a point where you're certain of what you want to do? Are you trying to get to a point where you did get the promotion? Are you trying to get to a point where you finally know where you want to live in the city, in the country, in the world? Do you want to finally be certain and settled in a relationship? So where are you trying to get to? Because if you're feeling lost, it means that you're not quite there yet. Even if you think you're there, it's not what you expected. So in your mind, and then write it down, comment, whatever you want. Where am I trying to get to? Where are you trying to get to? The next thing is where I'm trying to get to my decision and my choice. Where does the pin that I've dropped, where does the pin come from? Did your parents put that pin there and say, get here, become a lawyer, doctor, do this? The rest of your family did this, so you better do it. Right? You're part of this culture, so you better do this with marriage, this with your career, this with children. So does the point that you're trying to get to have a lot to do with what you want or a lot to do with what others expect from you? Where do those expectations come from? That's one of the biggest, most important questions that we ask ourselves as we're on this journey as adventurers. Where are my expectations coming from? This milestone, this pin that you're after, you feel lost, you're trying to get somewhere, or you've marked a pin, is that really where you want to go? Is that really what's going to fulfill you and what's meaningful for you? Is the journey to get there going to be interesting and fun and full of adventure too? So you have to ask yourself, where did these expectations come from? And am I obsessed with the milestone living? I have to do this, and then in a few years I have to do this, and then I have to get married, and then I have to do this, and then I have to have children, and then the career thing, and then the travel thing, and the vacation thing, and this, and this. I have to retire at this age. This is the almost security blanket of the West and what we like to follow because it brings us security, and a lot of people are living this way. And it makes sense that we would do that too. It does. Because when you see somebody else doing what you're doing, it brings you a sense of you're doing the right thing. But if you just take a step back a little bit and ask yourself, is this really where I want to go? If it were really just up to me, would I be on this path to get to that point? Or would I go left instead? Or would I go right instead? The straight path, the one that's been well traveled by billions of people over the course of time, is that for me? And a lot of the time, it's not just 100% it was somebody else's expectations and 0% yours. There's always a sharing, always. And of course, the influences come from everywhere. And the decisions and ideas we have come from our parents, come from our brothers and sisters, come from our coworkers, society as a whole, the media, what we consume. It comes from all over. But for you to take a step back and sit and be like, is this where I want to go? Okay? And a lot of you are saying right now, well, Scott, I don't know where I want to go. Good. That's the next question you have to ask yourself. What's better? Trying and failing or not trying at all? Because the regret will obviously come if you don't try anything at all. You can go spend hundreds of dollars to see a therapist and they do what's called behavioral activation therapy. Okay, BHT. Behavioral activation therapy. BAT. Okay? And it's basically do something. Do something. Anything. Pick something and do it. And when you do that, at least you have a line, at least you have a goal, at least you have a path, and you're moving somewhere. And along the way, you're going to figure out, oh, I like this. Oh, I like this thing. Oh, I met that person. Oh, I put myself out there and I learned that about myself. Pick something, anything, do something. And if you fail, oh, awesome. Awesome. Means you took a risk. You were an adventurer after all. All adventurers don't arrive on shore exactly when they wanted to. Shit comes up. Challenges come up. War comes up. Pirates come and bomb your ship. That's what happens when you leave the shores of home. You have to do something, even if you don't know exactly if it's the right thing, if it's a perfect fit. Because the more you resist it, this is what the whole behavioral activation thing is, the more you resist it, the more you give yourself that idea and permission to say it's okay not to do things. It's okay not to do things. It has to fit and feel perfect for me to do it. And I've never put on a jacket, a glove, a pair of jeans that I'm like, it is perfect. It's not. It's not. That needs to be completely tailored, and I don't have money for that. So I'm putting on Levi's. And I'm going to do the best I can with what I got. And that's what you're going to do. Feeling lost. Be compassionate to yourself. This isn't about you beating yourself up. This is about you moving forward, asking yourself these questions out of love for yourself, out of compassion for yourself, out of understanding for yourself. Like, hey, I know it's been a hard go and I've been feeling this way for a while. You know what we're going to do? We're going to change things up a bit. We're going to walk down a different path. Let's give it a shot. And if we fail, I'm going to hug myself even harder because I took a step, because I stepped in the water, because I got messy, because I got wet. And it reminded me, as I was thinking about talking about this, it reminds me of Terry Fox. Do you know who Terry Fox is? If you're from the States, if you're from another country, please look up Terry Fox. I'm going to tell you a short story about him. And this is inspiring, and it's been inspiring to millions and millions of Canadians, but also people all over the world too. Terry Fox was a Canadian. He died when he was 22 years old from bone cancer, okay? The cancer spread to his lungs. But when he was 21, he ran across Canada. You know how big Canada is, okay? He ran across Canada with one leg, and then he had a prosthetic, and it was made of metal. This was back in 1980. So these were metal. These weren't as comfortable. And he said, I want to raise money for cancer research. He was diagnosed. He told his parents, you know what? I'm just going to train for a marathon. I read about this guy who did it, and I'm going to raise some money for research. I'm going to run a marathon. In the background, he tells his buddy Doug, I told my parents I'm going to run a marathon. No, fuck that. I'm going to run across the damn country for cancer research because I've been going through treatment. I've been going through chemo. I got my leg amputated, and there's not enough money in this stuff, and I'm angry. He was angry about it, so he did something about it. He did something about it. 20 years old, and this is happening to this guy. He starts in St. John's, Newfoundland, I believe, on the east coast of Canada. He runs a marathon, 26 miles, 42 kilometers every single day. He runs a marathon. He's limping. He's getting cysts in his bones, shin splints. He's getting cramps. He's in extreme pain. He said, you got to run for 20 minutes and then you kind of get used to the pain and it dissipates a little bit. He runs a marathon every day, sleeps in a van, gets up at sunrise, does the marathon, sleeps in his van, gets up, runs the marathon, sleeps in the van, gets up, runs a marathon. He's not getting a lot of attention until he basically hits Montreal after like 3,000 kilometers of running. At around kilometer 5,000 in 1980 or 1981, he starts having coughing fits, and he still goes. He's still running. He's out of breath. He's still going. He's still running. He's in Ontario. He's still going. He's still running. And finally, he's like, okay, I can't breathe. He has to call it quits. The cancer had spread to his lungs from his leg. Because they amputated the leg, the bone cancer spread. Terry Fox wanted to make it to Victoria, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada, as far as you can get. He didn't make it. He put the pin in Western Canada. That's where he was going. He didn't know exactly what the journey would be like. He didn't know if this was the perfect place to put the pin. He didn't know how this would work out. The end was none of his business. His business was putting 1 foot forward at the very beginning. 1 foot forward. The end was none of his business. It wasn't the perfect pin. He didn't have the perfect plan. But he wanted to do this thing. He said, let's go. Instead of sitting, let's walk. Let's walk. Let's move. Let's go on an adventure. So he leaves the shores of home and he goes on an adventure, and he never reached the pin. He died before he could finish. He died before he could finish. He is a national and world-renowned hero. And he didn't even do what he set out to do. He raised millions of dollars. He ran halfway through the country, but in his mind, he wanted to go the whole way. Now, is this someone you would call a failure? Absolutely not. But Scott, he didn't reach his goal. Yeah, sure. In one way, he failed in that sense. Sure. But a failure? He didn't reach the pin. That's one part of this story. That's one part of the adventure. That's one part of the goal. Everything else, pure success. If you're scared to leave the shores of home and you're scared to go on this adventure, you're going to fail at a few things. When you leave, be prepared to fail at a few things. A lot of things. If you're lucky, a lot of things. Put the pin somewhere and go. Make a decision and go. One step at a time. One step at a time. This may calm your mind a little bit. This is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He wrote something about success. Because feeling lost is about you need to have the perfect pin. This and this, it better be perfect. I better be good enough at this, good enough at this. I want to leave a legacy. I want to live the perfect life. I want to make sure I do the right thing. Everyone's so obsessed with living this perfect life because there's so many resources to do so well. There's so many options to do so well. If you don't know something, you can get the information. So much pressure to live a perfect life. Because if you don't, that means you didn't try hard enough. Bullshit. You live a successful life if, says Ralph Waldo Emerson, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. How about that? How about that? To go back to the beginning of the video, answer some of those questions. Think about it. Take your time. Don't ruminate, but just think about it as you're doing the dishes, as you're walking to work, as you're driving, as you're riding your bike, as you're doing something. Just ponder. Where's my pin? Is that what I want? And am I not placing the pin in fear that it needs to be in the perfect spot? Because if you're in that position, spin the globe, put the pin on, and start walking. And I guarantee you, you will not regret it. Between that and standing still for another year, another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you will not regret taking a step. God bless Terry Fox and the Canadian Cancer Society. And if you are in this position, and you have been for a while, I've put links for you in the description. You don't just have to talk to me. You can apply to speak one-on-one with me through a coaching session, okay? Or you can reach out to a therapist, which is betterhelp.com/depression2expression. And we can do a whole episode on the stigma of therapy. But what I see and read in the comments of multiple videos is a lot of us need to take control of our mental health and take a step. Taking a step can be, I'm going to write in my journal more. Taking a step, I'm going to book a call with a therapist. Taking a step, I'm going to sign up for this fitness class. Taking a step to change something is what a lot of us need to do. It doesn't need to be some grandiose plan. One baby step at a time. Please read about Terry Fox. Put that pin and keep walking, baby. Start walking. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care. God bless you on your journey. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.